Well, it's that time again. Welcome. My name is Reverend Alicia Leslie, and you are watching my video series of the Mundane Mystic. What that means, Mundane Mystic, is that we take a deep look at our everyday lives and apply spiritual principles, so what we get out of it will be what we want more than what we don't want. If you like the video, please feel free to click like. If you want to make sure you don't miss a video, please go to YouTube and you can subscribe because this will be uploaded later on. And today we're talking about emotions, and emotions can hurt and emotions can heal. And you get to make that choice. That's pretty exciting. I hope I can help you work with that today and find ways to use your emotions in a way that is more helpful than hurtful. And so we're going to just take a look at it, and I hope you enjoy it. But where do we always start? With the National Day calendar. Well, today, when I was writing out the notes of what was the national days it was, I realized how our emotions are in just about every one of the things that I was talking about. So I'm going to give you a little pre-message about emotions first. Now, if we look at the word emotion as energy in motion, we know that sometimes our emotions are very positive, sometimes they're very negative. I would like to share with you what Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said about emotions. This book, you can tell it's very well read because it's fallen apart. What he said about emotion, he said in the revealing word, emotion is undisciplined or uncontrolled forces, subnormal or supernormal activity of the mental or physical forces, excitement of the feelings. It is found that for each bad emotion, there is a corresponding chemical change in the tissues of the body that is life-depressing and poisonous. Contrariwise, every good emotion makes a life-promoting change. Thus, it follows that it pays to think good thoughts and to do good acts for one's own sake. Now, this book, let me see if I can see when it was first printed. It may have it in here, 1959, but the Unity work started significantly earlier, so I'm thinking that was put in there after the fact. But when these thoughts were I'm not going to say conceived because he didn't give them birth so much as he formulated, he connected with. Now I got to tell you, I am not a doctor by any stretch of the imagination. I have no degrees, so I'm not a physician, but I am a metaphysician. A metaphysician is a person that looks behind the appearances to see how things happen, okay? So, emotions, like it said, can be positive, they can be negative. Fillmore used to say that anger poisons. It puts poison into the body. Now, we can say like, well, that's kind of like far out there, but it's not. You see, since that time, since Fillmore, put that thought out into the universe or discovered it or whatever, the science has talked about endorphins and adrenaline. Adrenaline is what gives you the fight or flight. And endorphins are things that make you feel good. It's not just about the things and whether they make you feel good or they don't make you feel good. You gotta look behind it, to what is behind it. Because sometimes something may make you feel good at the moment, which is pleasure, or you can have long-term happiness, which is principle. It's happy is not so much an emotion. Pleasure is very physical. Happiness is more like a state of being. Pleasure is passing. Happiness, which we do have the control of, can lead to an enduring good life. It's something that lasts. So let's take a look at today's National Day calendar and see how they move with our emotions. Well, first of all, we're going to look at the month because I like this month so much. It is National Brunch Month. Man, I love brunch. You know, that's like when you sleep later and you make yourself some fantastic meal that covers both breakfast and lunch, and you get it in your head, well, that's good, it's only one meal, you know, so I can eat big. But it is so fun to have brunch. And what does it do? Generally, it puts you in a good mood. So what's happening is you've got the positive emotion going through you that you are anticipating. Okay? We can have anxiety or we can have anticipation. Which do you want? Because anxiety's what's gonna put the adrenaline, the fight or flight into you, whereas the endorphins are calming and make you happy. Now, it's also National Walking Day. Well, it shouldn't be just walking day. I mean, it should be national walking. Any time of every day should be National Walking Day because it's so healthy for you. It's healthy to be outside. It's healthy to be out in the sunshine and to absorb the vitamin D, and it does clear your mind. And after a while, especially if you do not bring any technology with you on that walk. Now, maybe, all right, so maybe you got your phone in case you trip and fall and need to call somebody to come get you, something like that. We're not going to affirm those. Let's get rid of that negative thought. Let's say you might want to call someone and tell them that you made this amazing discovery of this incredible flower that they got to meet you and come see it. Okay, that's a positive reason. So, but if you're going to have your phone with you, put it away and try to avoid looking at it or anything. Because when you do that, your mind starts to look at the wonders of our world, of the beauty. Look for the beauty. I've seen beauty in many places that it was unseeming. One of my favorite pictures from my trip to Egypt was like in the middle of the desert, there was a little Bedouin camp. And they had, you could see a little burner where they would cook their food in a little pot, and a can of tomato paste, which it was so rustic. It was just out there in the middle of nowhere, and you think like, to me, it was just beautiful. And you think about a person out there making their dinner all by themselves. When I say all by themselves, when you go to the outer parts of Egypt where there are nothing but sand and sand and sand, let me tell you. But that was beauty. We can find beauty everywhere we look at it. And we can find things to get enraged about, and we can find things to depress us, and we can find things that will make us sad. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't have to face sad and things, anxious things, but we can choose every time we catch ourselves falling into a bad spot and not making an effort to work our way out of it. We're just going to keep going down and down and down. Someone who's very dear to me has fallen into some scary habits in what they watch on television, on the input they get into their mind. And the things that they're taking into their mind are very negative and they're not true. And I've watched as he has gotten so dark. And when you talk to him, you don't want to talk to him long because there's just gripe about everything. So I cannot change the way somebody else thinks, but I can catch it. Sometimes when we're having conversations, I'll catch where he's going and turn it in a more positive direction. And you know, sometimes if you can't put it in a more positive direction, you've got to say, okay, listen, I got to run. I hope I can get to talk to you again soon. Now, that's not lying, because you do have to run, because if you don't, you're going to be pulled down into it, and you don't want that, right? We want to be uplifted. We don't want to be dragged down. And you know what they say? That one pessimist can pull down 5 optimists faster than 5 optimists can pull up 1 pessimist. Sometimes you've got to let that pessimist live in their little puddle of misery and bless them and let them go their way. And one day they're going to say, you know, I don't know what you got, but I want some of that, right? All right, so walking is good. Did I walk today? I walked today. I walked down the street a little bit and across the street to my sister's house. Well, let me tell you something. It was raining and cold and windy, but I chose to walk. Could I have taken my car? Absolutely. And this is another thing about walking. Walking is so healthy for you. It's good for your whole body and your mind and your spirit. If your soul, spirit's fine, your soul. So you try to walk. There are many times that we drive when we really could walk, and the driving just wastes fuel, pollutes. There's no need for it. So when you can, walk. Okay, it is National Sorry Charlie Day. No, we're not talking about that tuna fish, you know, the Starkist commercial. No, we're talking when National Sorry Charlie Day is taking a new look at rejection. Oh, how does that word make you feel, rejection? Oh, I don't want to think about rejection. It's painful and depressing. What if we looked at it differently? Now, whether that rejection happens in a relationship, in a losing a job, not getting a job or a promotion that you wanted, whether it's a financial, you can't get the mortgage for the house you wanted or whatever like that. If we change that rejection feeling to something positive, again, we're going from adrenaline to endorphin. If we consider one thing, I love this one thing. I love a lot of things I got from my Unity philosophy, but one of them is really important. Rejection is God's protection. Now, if you think about it, seriously, think about it. Think back to some times you were rejected, or you thought you were rejected, but it was really for your highest good. You know, and here's where we have, remember I said you can choose your emotions? So you can decide, some people will decide that they're going to be rejected, and then they're going to go, I'm going to get what I want no matter what. Let's say it's a job and you got rejected, they didn't want you, and then you find a way to get yourself in there and get what you want. You know what? If you don't pay attention and you take something you really didn't need because that's the human part of us, that there's good spiritual determination and there is negative ego-centered. It is our ego that gets upset with rejection, not our spirit. If you look back and make that maybe your evening project, to do a little bit of thinking through your life, people, places, experiences, sometimes that rejection shows up to truly be God's protection. Okay, it is National Child Help Day, and it is the purpose of National Child Help Day is to try to work toward child abuse and neglect being erased from our consciousness. Sometimes, we will see someone that is abusing their child. It may not seem like a big abuse, but it could be. And a lot of times we're like, I don't want to get involved. That person's not in a very good mood to begin with, and I'm not going to take a chance. What if you did take a chance? What if you did? One day, I was walking across the parking lot from Walmart, and there was a woman pushing her son in one of the shopping carts, and he was crying, and she was yelling at him and yelling at him, and at one point she just like really screamed some negative words at him and slapped him and yanked him out of the carriage. Well, I had my choice. I could drive away, or I might say something. I could have said something mean like, what in God's name is wrong with you? That's a child. I said something different. I said to her, looks like you're having a bad day, but I want to share this with you. The little ones grow up so fast, and soon they are all grown and on their own. And every precious moment you have with them, you don't want to color it with negative words. You don't want to be hurtful. So just please take it from a mother to a mother. I really would like you to think about that for a minute. They grow and go so quickly. And she said, oh, okay. And I walked away. And she went on her way. And I pray that those words, ruminated in her head, and that she started to think about it. And it took a small thing that when my daughter was a very small, probably that kid's age, I was in the kitchen and I was having a bad day. I was having a lot of problems in my life and my marriage and money, and oh God, it was just, so I'm cooking dinner and I'm, pouting and trying to figure things out, which you shouldn't cook when you're in that kind of mood. The food is never going to come out that good. But anyway, there was a tugging on my robe, and I looked down, and I was going to give my little girl a piece of my mind that I couldn't afford to spare. And I looked down, and she was like, Mommy, Mommy. And I saw her, and I said, oh my God, she's like an angel. She's taking me from this negative spot, from this bad place I was in, and she's come to save me. She's come to change my mind and to remind me of the beautiful stuff in life. And I picked her up and I hugged her. Was I a perfect mom? Heck no. I made a lot of mistakes, but I'm not afraid to try to share with other people the mistakes I made that may prevent them. Every time you interact with a child in a negative way, or if you fight with someone, I don't care if you're fighting with your husband or the checkout person, if you've seen those Karen videos, I want to see the manager, but every time you interact in a way that is negative, we literally change who they are. We might give them a sense of inferiority or being disempowered. So just think on these things. Okay, trying to get back to where I'm not even out of the National Day calendar yet. It is National Bookmobile Day, Library Week. I love the libraries. I love the way they smell. I love looking at all those books and ideas and possibilities. It's just amazing. And the bookmobile, what an amazing blessing that is to people. People can't get out. They'll bring the bookmobile to you. You can even order books for the bookmobile. I'm happy to be able to go wherever I want. I can go to the library anytime I want, but thank God for the bookmobile. That is not, it's not a business, a service. It's a ministry to bring a wide world to someone who can't go out and see it for themselves. So much. And did you see the emotions in all those things? I'd like to invite you to try to be really, really aware of the emotions that flow through you and how they flow through you. Do you feel good? Do you feel scared? Do you feel angry? Because this is your body saying, help! It's your mind saying, help! Now, here's where I want to talk a little bit more about my totally unqualified thoughts about the physiology and metaphysics of emotions, okay? So, all around us are ideas. We are surrounded by ideas, and they come to us, and let me tell you something. I've said this before, like if you get an idea for an invention or something, do it. Because if you don't, somebody else will. Those ideas are out there. But, so when you, our emotions are stimulated by our thoughts, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. Now, sometimes you will smell something, and all of a sudden, this thought comes into your mind. It may be a good thing, it may be a bad thing. For example, when I smell Tangy lipstick, I am 14 again. Nothing smells like Tangy lipstick. And I smile because it feels good. Now, if I hear the squeal of brakes, I get scared. It's not about me. I could be miles away from a car, but any car accident I was ever in, and I've had a couple, it all comes back into the emotions. Well, what do? When these emotions come to us, we have to figure, how am I going to redirect this into a positive direction? Now, some negative emotions are there to warn us. Some of them are to be healed. And some of them have to just be expressed. Now, one of those is crying. Crying can be very healing. And when I hear people say things like, oh, men don't cry, well, that's just too damn bad. Because crying is a release of negative emotions. And if we don't let them out, if we keep stuffing them down, they can cause us literal physical disease, stress. Stress is not good for us. So what happens? Do you ever have one of those days where you're just kind of going around and it's just a bad day and you just don't know why it's a bad day and you can't put your finger on it? Very often, if you're feeling sad, something's got to come out. You could have been triggered by something that was even in your subconscious. You didn't even realize it. How do you get rid of this? Well, you can cry. If you can't cry, excellent thing to do is watch a good cry movie. Yeah, what's a good cry movie? It's one of those ones that you find yourself sniffling at the end. Things like The Color Purple, Joy Luck Club. There are a lot of them. So you find something that will help you to get that out. It could be music. It could be a song, a good crying song. And I think there's even a song about crying songs. I think it's a country song. Aren't a lot of them about crying? You know what you get when you play the country music record backwards? You get your wife back, you get your car back, you get your dog back. Now people don't even understand it because they don't know what a record is. Times are a-changing. So then the other very healthy way to switch the emotions, first of all, again, if you've got to get something out, if you've got to cry, it's like puking, vomiting. You can think for as long as you want that you can try to fight that vomit from coming out, but I'm going to tell you something. The faster you go into the bathroom and get rid of whatever's in there that has to come out, the better you are, okay? Same thing with the negative emotion. Get it out and you can feel better. But the other one is laughter. The power of laughter is just amazing. It's like it breaks up all the anxiety and stuff inside of you, and the world becomes a better place. Sometimes we laugh at times when we say, that's not appropriate. You shouldn't be laughing about that. Sometimes it's at a funeral. If you're talking about someone who passed away and a funny story, I always encourage, when I do memorial services, I always encourage the people to come up and share stories. Happy stories, funny stories. Yeah, some people have to get up and cry and, do their thing. But those happy stories, they fill out the many faceted experiences of this wonderful soul they shared their lives with. Now, with losing Tishy, I'm probably going to be crying about that for a while. It's not a lot. Every once in a while, it starts to build up. And what do I have to do? Get it out. It's very important that we get out funny things that are healing, to get those endorphins going. And funny movies, I mean, they are everywhere. So you can find a funny movie, or you can find happy music. If you're feeling like the world is just such a bad place to be and you don't want to be here anymore, and it's really just, try to put on, well, for me, I'm going to tell you what works for me, because something different will probably work for you. What works for me is good old Catholic Church folk music. When I was in the Catholic Church, man, I loved those songs. And all I have to do is get those, nothing like some good old gospel music also. You want to put some laughing and some music together to put you in a good place, you go find, and I think it's probably on Prime, Leap of Faith with Steve Martin. Now that'll give you a good spiritual jolt. I'm sure you've got plenty that work for you as well. So we want to remember to avoid the anxiety, the fight or flight. Now, not all adrenaline is bad. Adrenaline's good. It's excitement, like being sometimes on a roller coaster or something. But here's the thing about a roller coaster. It's a low risk rush of adrenaline, okay? Some people get addicted to adrenaline, and I know of more than one who died because of that adrenaline rush. One of them was face climbing a building, a skyscraper. People do what they do. You don't want to be addicted to adrenaline any more than you want to be. Can you be addicted to endorphin? I suppose you might be, if you don't want to think about serious things, if that puts you in a state of denial about some of the things that we really should be paying attention to. Now, I had a blood pressure issue because I'm like getting a little older. And so they try to keep track of it and everything. And I'll tell you something, when you do, I self-test my blood pressure. When I do that, they say, sit down, get still, do not watch TV, do not listen to music, do not talk to anybody, do not move, just sit there and do your thing. And you think about, why in just this little bit of time that I'm getting this blood pressure test, why do I have to, I don't live calm like that. But we do. In our everyday life, if we're in a centered place, not having any crises going on or excitement, we will have one level of blood pressure. Sometimes when people just take their blood pressure test, they get so freaked out. I mean, I go to the doctor. When I go to the doctor's office, my blood pressure is way higher. It's called white coat syndrome. That's one of the reasons why I track my own and show it to my doctor. But I'm just trying to explain how emotions can get out of control. And I hope I gave you today some ideas about how to bring it into control. And start to realize when you're having the adrenaline experience in a negative way. In other words, if you're starting to get angry, do not engage in a political argument with someone where it's just going to get you in a fighting match. You know what? Sometimes you just have to agree to disagree. Say, I love you. I value our relationship more than I do winning, because when we fight about politics, nobody wins, because you're not going to change anybody's mind. The best way to do is to live your life the best way. Stay informed. Make sure you're aligned and comfortable and grounded in what you believe. Another negative form of emotion is resentment. If you look at the meaning of the word resentment, it's to re-experience a negative emotion. So we resent. Resentment is not good for you. That has a low, constant drain, and maybe it just gets that adrenaline drip going. You don't want that. So we have to learn to get rid of resentment. There's a couple of things. First of all, you have to forgive. Whatever your resentment is about, let it go. You don't need to re-experience that. The person you're ticked off about, they probably don't give it another thought any day. And it's just your whole thing churning up on yourself. Learn to forgive. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. Okay? And here we come, metaphysics. The event that happened. Try to step out of your framework of looking at it and consider it from another person's point of view, the other person's point of view. You know, the Native American principle, never judge a man until you've walked a mile in his moccasins. Chances are that person that you're having an argument with or a disagreement with or you're holding resentment against, you have no idea, even if you've been married to them for 30 years. Because unless you were in the womb with them and spent every minute of their life together, you do not know what's going on in their life. Sometimes we have to give people the benefit of the doubt and trust that all is in divine order, that everything is working together for good. Scripture, all things work together for good to those who love the Lord. Look at it metaphysically. Those who abide by and like that are in alignment with the law, which is spiritual principle. The Lord, law, principle. So all things will work together if we align ourselves with spiritual principle. I think that is just about everything I had to say today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something good from it. You know, I don't say this too often, but I certainly invite you to share that with anybody who might be interested, that you might think, boy, I wish so-and-so heard this. Well, they can. Just share it with them. So until we see each other again, God bless you and have a bright, beautiful, better than average day. Bye-bye.